Hi, welcome to ACS Composite. My name is Joseph, and today we're looking over a C7 Stingray. This, to me, is the ultimate daily driver. There's a ton of these on the market with customers upgrading to the C8, and I just think this is a great buy for anybody that's looking into getting the Corvette segment. Reliable platform, a lot of fun out of it, and lots of upgrades are available for it. So this one here is a perfect example. It's Marty's car, a local customer, and we've basically done the mods over a 3-year span. So every year we usually do a few upgrades and give the car a fresh look. This one has about 7 or 8 different upgrades from ACS Composite. Most visibly is the aero pack. So this one here has a Stage 2 aero, which includes the front splitter with the Z06 side winglets. It also has a full-length side rockers, all finished in carbon flash black. Carbon flash being the natural trim color of the car. So from the factory, we had the hood insert, the rear spoiler, if applicable, fender insert, and rear diffuser this color. So obviously this is the natural color to go with. These components are manufactured in a PC composite material, making it very scrape friendly and really great for daily application. So we do offer a race version of those parts, which have an under tray, but the beauty of these is really the durability. So a PC composite is a polycarbonate based material, very friendly to scrapes, to nicks and chips. So if you chip it, you won't notice it, and if you scrape those dreadful driveways, well, the part won't break. And still mighty strong to withstand any drivable speed. So we have the splitter, side rockers. We then went ahead and changed the front grille of the Stingray to the Z06 version. So we're able to eliminate that chrome bar. So one of the things we tried to do is really bring the car neutral with black and carbon flash. So the next natural step was the emblems, which include the front bumper emblem, the fender emblems, and the rear bumper Corvette insignia. So that let us go now to a full black monochromatic look. We also continued the blackout effect with our lug nuts and the wheels with the Z51 wheel, the side marker kit, which basically includes a 6-piece kit, which is side markers in the front, in the rear, and the reflectors. And finally, we moved on to the rear. In the rear, we did our rear diffuser system, which includes 4 diffuser fins, 2 per side. We did our rock chip protection package, which included on this car the enhanced front version rock guards or splash guards, rear XL rock guards with the rear fascia extension. This gave us an opportunity to integrate our XL rock guard to the rear diffuser. So the rear fascia extension is just the middle component, or what we like to call a mini rocker, integrating the two to give you that consistent line from the front to the rear, from the splitter to the rockers to the rear fascia extension. Finally, we have our Stingray releases for 2021. What we've done is taken some of our components that were extremely popular in the Z06 and carrying it over to the Stingray model, which is our rear quarter extension. We've had tons of requests to convert these for the Stingray model, and here they are. So this is a very small, subtle rear quarter extension to basically, again, unite the carbon flash between the two components. So what we have is a very small piece that gets mounted using all the OEM mounting points, and it snaps into position. So this gives us an opportunity to protect this edge and also give you a bit of a wider look. Finally, we have our new rocker winglet. So this is our C7 5VM rocker winglet, which bolts on to the same mounting points as the rocker panel. So it's a really fun upgrade to give the car a fresh look and bring a little bit of a C8-ish styling to the C7. And we have our Five1 Wicker conversion system. This has been available since around 2015. What this represented was the Stage 1 aero from a Z06. So it stuck out about ½ an inch, a really clean, subtle, conservative look. One of the biggest requests, again, has been to bring the Z06 flavor to this particular spoiler. And finally, we figured it out. So we now have what we would classify as a Stage 2.5 Wicker System for a Z51 conversion. So we're gonna head over to the shop, show you guys how to install that, and then come back for a full product overview of the Stingray. So here we have it. Finally, we have a large 2.5 Wicker system for a Stingray, and more specifically, a Z51 spoiler. So for the last few years, we've been basically offering customers either our Five1 Wicker system or a Z06 spoiler conversion for a Stingray, which included a new spoiler base, and then you had a choice of all the different Wickers. It was a good option, but it always required the rear fascia to be removed. So basically a 4-hour install and about a $1,500 investment. So a lot of guys have been asking us to basically make a conversion system. The issue with that was always the strength the shape, and the mounting system. So finally, here it is. So the way we were able to do it was to actually use the drawings of the Z51 Spoiler, match the back portion, and regenerate all the surfaces so that they would be reproportioned for the Stingray. We also did exactly like our 5.1, we did an integration piece in the side corner. So this lets us fill that void between the Z51 Spoiler and the Wicker System and permit us to get a tangent surface on the side. So the final product is really an integrated OEM look that belongs on the Stingray. So the installation is very straightforward and very similar to our 5.1 Wicker System. In addition, if you've already done the Wicker System in the past, you could still upgrade to our system. The difference is the whole location is different. So you'll notice this one has 3 mounting points, this one has 4. So they are in different locations. So when I remove this, I'll be able to drill new holes and everything will be covered up when I'm done. This one also gives us an opportunity to include the bridge, the infamous Z06 center bridge, which is mounted using these 2 same mounting points. So it's really a modular system to bring your Z06 look to the Stingray. So I'm gonna go ahead and dismantle this and walk you through the installation of it. We're getting ready to install our new Z06 Wickers for the Stingray. In this particular case, we are uninstalling our 5.1 Wicker System. And the beauty of the system is that we made it modular. So we took into account these customers if they wanted to make the upgrade. So I'm gonna have to remove the T30 screws, peel the 5.1, clean the surface. If you're starting with an OEM fresh spoiler, then you don't have to do this. You're simply gonna decontaminate the surface. And if you do have a Stingray without a spoiler, then you will need to buy a Z51 spoiler. So that is still about half the price of a Z06 spoiler. So there's a major advantages and most importantly, a much more integrated look. So we're gonna be solving that infamous spoiler sticking out on the side for about half the cost. So this will be really the go-to mod. The fasteners have been removed. There was 2 strips of 2-way tape behind here, so that will take some force. You could use a heat gun, but I prefer to simply go with a consistent pull. There we go. Residual 2-way tape. You could use your thumb. Or a tape removal tool. I've removed the majority of the residual 2-way tape. There's still a little bit of residue, so I'm going to use a solvent-based cleaner to basically go and completely prep the surface. Perfect. Next, I'm using an alcohol-based solution. And this is really to clean the solvent or any wax that we may have had. Our next step is installing new rivnuts for our Z06 Wicker System. So they are in different positions. This one being the closest. So I'm going to be masking the area simply because I'm going with a drill. And I always find with tape, it gives you a chance to mark it and check it. I'm using a 2-inch masking tape over the whole area. So we're ready for our first trial fitting of our S3 Wicker on our Corvette. This is part of our drilling fixture itself. So right now I'm just familiarizing myself with how this will fit. And basically this is where it's gonna go. We do have a small integration panel that goes right here, which is the end cap. This is a filler panel that basically turns our Z51 Wicker to basically a base to accept our Z06 Wicker. And it's really important to get comfortable with it. And this one needs to be really all the way at the bottom, contacting the spoiler. I don't worry too much about this because it's a filler panel, but I do need it to locate my Wicker. And at this point, I'm very happy with the fit. And the next decision the owner needs to do is, does he intend to use a Stage 3 bridge? This is our Stage 3 bridge, and it does interact with the Wickers we're installing today. So if the intent is to install this, or you're doing it right off the bat, you will need to make sure that this distance is respected. So in order to do that, we're supplying you with a template. This template basically represents the 4 holes of the bridge. And there we have it. I'll be installing this template onto the car. This is determining my 4 holes that will interact with this. Once I've determined this, then it could go back to using the Wickers for the rest of my holes. So if you've decided that you only want to do the Wickers, you don't technically need to use the template. I think it's always good to have options in case you decide to upgrade later on, or you sell the car and somebody decides to put the Wickers. So for this install, I'm going to go ahead and assume that eventually this is going on. So I'll be working with both sides of the car. To install the template, I'll be using small pieces of tape along with a marker to locate my holes.
Do you actually want to do this?
My template is positioned. I'm using a marker to get the center points. And I'm creating my pilot hole. So this is a 1/8 drill bit. And all I'm doing is I'm using the center. When I'm drilling holes into the spoiler, I always try to be perpendicular. So basically, as I get to the side, I keep turning my drill because I'll be installing rivnuts, and those have to be parallel or flush with the surface. I can now remove my template. Our next step is to drill the nominal hole. We're using an M6 rivnut. This is a rivnut, and we need to drill a hole the exact same size. So it's technically a 10mm drill bit or a 3/8 drill bit. So you do want to get a visual just to make sure you have the right one. They should be the same size. That's how I always go with it, so I don't pick the wrong one. You don't want to oversize because you're not going to get the crimping force that you need. We'll film this one. We'll do the other side. I'm peeling the tape of this side since it's a 2-step process, and I want to get my rivnut crimped onto the paint so I get a nice flush mount. So this is a rivnut tool. Don't mix this up with a riveter. It's actually a threaded insert that gets collapsed. And the way it works is that it pulls this and collapses this around the plastic. So that's how we're able to get a very strong mounting system for our Wicker system. We do sell a hand version of this gun. This is a pro version. It's a really great tool to have at home. I mean, if you're a DIY guy, you can fix a lot of things with a riveter. It's one of my favorite tools. But if you're only gonna do this once, then my suggestion is just go to a body shop. Actually, what you do is you get the car ready so all your holes are located and you're happy. Head over to a body shop and just ask the guys to do it for you. Treat them to lunch or something like that. And at least you don't have to go through the expense or the headache of dealing with a rivnut. But it's a really easy install, and you could buy the gun from us. It's like $30, $50, and you get a bunch of these different sizes. So it's really good to have at home, but if you don't plan on using it, why buy it? And the way it works, insert it and collapse. Oh. We are ready to just trial fit these two holes. So if ever you do find your holes are not perfect, we do have a lot of play when it comes to these. We drill them to a nominal spec, which is 6, same diameter as the nut, but the head itself is around 15. So if you did make a small mistake with your riv nuts, you could always enlarge these slightly. So I'm still good with these two. I'm going to complete the installation of the bolt. My two center bolts, which are again the common ones to our bridge, have been installed. And the reason I went through all this is just again to keep my options open down the line if we want to upgrade with the Wicker. So I think it's worth the effort. The template is supplied. It does take you an extra 10 minutes, but I think it's nice to have options, especially with a modded vet. You never know how aggressive you want to go. So now that these have been confirmed, I'm going to go in with a 1/4 inch or 6mm drill bit and drill these two and continue the riv nut installation. I'm not going to drill the two last holes using my riv nut, which is a 10mm or standard equivalent, which I think we said was 3/8 plus. I'm done with the drilling on the side, so I could finally remove my masking tape. My 4 new riv nuts have been installed. We notice here that we have our riv nuts from the original Wicker, which was our 5.1, and now the new ones that also take into account the bridge. When I do check, all my holes are lining up with the riv nut. And just to ensure I don't cross thread, I'm gonna slightly enlarge them. So I'm actually gonna show you guys how I do that, simply because I can. Everything does look perfectly lined up, but why not pick up that extra tolerance and give us the adjustability and reduce the risk of cross threading. So the last thing you wanna do is force one of these bolts into a riv nut and cross thread that. Otherwise you'll have to replace it, and that's a ton of work. So I like insurance. For that reason, I'm gonna do a +2mm oversize of the hole. There is no issues because again, the head diameter is much larger. So I have the room and might as well use it. So I've installed an 8mm or 1964 drill bit, and basically just slightly oversizing it. Always a good idea to hand start fasteners. Again, we want to reduce the risk of cross-threading. I slightly tighten them. I am not torquing them into position because I do have the double-sided tape to peel, and I want to get a little bit of room not to break the backing tape. I'm actually helping by flexing the wicker rearward so I don't break this. And now I do the opposite. I press forward. My backing tape is ready for me, and peel and press into position. I can now torque the 4 screws. Perfect. Our next step is to install the filler supporting end cap. And this one goes right over the Z51 spoiler. And I've seen it more than once, people buying a Z06 Wicker, installing it on a Stingray, but the shape and all the support is not correct. And that's where the big difference comes from. This little piece is actually pretty important in this install. Once positioned, I'm gonna want the wicker to be parallel to the quarter panel from this side. And with that, I will decide where that hole is. So depending how the spoiler is, a quarter and the bumper, that comes into effect. That's why we're leaving it as a variance. When I look at this car, we see the gap is very inconsistent here. We see how much larger this is. And the only thing that's holding this bumper on is a series of fasteners and 3 clips. So this adjustment is nearly impossible to do. Hence why we want adjustability, and that's where this end cap comes in. So what I'm going to do now is put some masking tape in this area, position this, and get somebody to help me mark that hole at the right spot, and finally install a rivnut here so that we could support it properly and get a really nice fit. Setting some masking tape onto my end cap, not really for protection, but more to be able to see where I'm positioning that hole. I'll put some tape on the quarter panel. I don't really think it's required, but again, insurance is always nice. Should have probably done this at the beginning of the video. We're ready to install the end cap. It's been masked, and this is basically a canvas for us to mark the location of our rivnut here. The end cap goes right over the Z51 spoiler, and I'm getting a side view. I want to make sure this is parallel with the quarter panel, and it's right there. That's where we will want this. So you do need help, and somebody should be marking you that hole or drilling it on the spot. So it's one or the other. And that's our hole. Again, I'll be doing a 1/8 hole pilot hole and then my 10mm rivnut hole. You do have to be careful with this item. You don't want to scratch it. You want to put it in a vise, but you just want to be careful not to puncture yourself. And there's my pilot hole. Switching to my 10mm drill bit. You have to be careful with the larger one since there's a lot more torque on it. Perfect. So there we have it. The rivnut is installed into our end cap, which is the same rivnut we use on the spoiler. And this is what happens on the back side. You see how it's collapsing and basically hugging the plastic. That's how we get the required strength for the wicker not to fly off the car or vibrate. We're ready to install the end cap permanently. You could go ahead and peel the backing and slide it into position. And I'm now flexing the wicker up to where I chose to have it. And there we have it. We check all my bolts are tight. And there we have it, the install's complete. I'm now gonna head over to the other side and do the exact same thing. We've completed the install of the wickers, and this is representing the stage 2 from the factory on a Z06 or Grand Sport. So basically, if I'm measuring off the spoiler base, I have a 2.5 inch extension over the stock spoiler, which is identical to what you would see on a Z07 or level 2 package from GM. And for our parts, this would be a stage 2.5. So for 2.5 inches. We could bring this up to a level 3. And what that entails is basically to add the infamous bridge, which is a signature item on the Z07 package, and it fits right here. So it integrates the two, creating hence the bridge. And the installation is pretty straightforward. We remove the 4 T30 bolts, position the bridge, and refasten. So we're going to do that just so we could get a feel of the final look. I position the bridge. The bridge itself is adjustable in height, just like the factory one, and I could raise it. There is a recess for, I guess, the maximum height, and that's the one I usually start off with. So this is our stage 3 bridge for the Stingray. It is the identical part that we offer on a Z06, so it is a production part. It is a GM licensed part, so it does come with the Corvette insignia, and this is important to us because it is a durable part. It is polycarbonate. People do call us all the time about the color tint. I would call it a bronze dark tint or smoked. It does have the etched area, the grommets, rubber grommets on the back side. If you're buying it for a Z06, it comes with the right screws. For the Stingray, they're included, so they're universal. And we always get asked if it's the same one that you find on the internet. So this is a typical part that we find on the internet that I would say probably every Grand Sport or Stingray guy has bought at some point. They go for about $80. It's dimensionally the same, but it's made out of ABS. So what does that mean? ABS is not very stable long term. It doesn't do well in cold temperatures. It doesn't do well in hot temperatures. And as you see, they tend to crack. So I've probably replaced 20 or 30 of these, And I've heard tons of customers get caught with these, so they get excited, put on the car. A couple days later, this is what happens, it breaks. Not to mention not getting the right fasteners or the proper grommet on the back. So this is the black one that they say, that the tinted black wicker. It is much darker to see through, so this is really something of a love or hate type of styling cue or downforce. This is the maximum downforce setup because it's got the largest surface area to basically create downforce. Obviously this will slow you down on the top end side of it. Not really significant on highway speed, but higher than that when you start reaching 100 miles an hour and plus. Very effective way. So basically it's a carryover performance cue from the Z06. So basically you can find tons of articles online on that directly from the GM team and so on. So we're basically using this from the parts bin. It is an interchange, but at the end it gives you a complete modular look. You could take out the bridge, put it back on, or so go for a stage 2 or a 3, depending on your selection of items. So there we have it. Let's bring the car out and appreciate the mod.